I would consider it to be one of the hardest periods of my life, right? And this was my partner and I in my first company. I joined this company, Voxel, very early on. I was young, 21 years old, and Raj was the same age. We built this company. It was our life's work. And we both were, committed, as it were, and spending, 16, 17 hours a day working together to try and build this company, which we did. And 6, 7 years in, we had gone through this really hard period where the financial crisis of 2008 had
Mm.
actually been super positive for our business because when people like funding dried up and capital and whatnot, companies, which was at the same time that the internet was growing really rapidly, right? iPhones were getting out there, cloud computing was starting to happen, applications and video were occurring, you know. So like technology SaaS was starting to happen with like Salesforce and things like that. People were using technology a lot, businesses and consumers. But people also had this like huge capital problem. And so they outsourced. They outsourced to cloud computing. They outsourced to hosting companies and data centers like us, and it was on our balance sheet. And so
Mm.
we had to go spend the money.
Mm.
They were coming, we had the best sales months ever during the financial crisis. Um, but we didn't have any money and we didn't know how to get any money. And what happened is like Raj and I were such diametrically opposed people in terms of how we worked. I don't think he checked his voicemail for 10 years. I responded to every email within 5 minutes. We were just very different humans. He stretched and dreamed about the future. And I was like, what are we going to do about payroll tomorrow? And in ways, we were like great partners because we were different. And in other ways, we were so incompatible. And we were fighting
Mm.
every day, right? To the point where it was like mommy and daddy yelling at each other. It was uncomfortable. And we both wanted the same thing, but didn't know enough about ourselves. And I think we didn't know enough about how to work with each other. And so we almost split the company and just left, right? And in the end, we decided to fire ourselves and demote ourselves. And we went out and both agreed. I remember this. We took a long walk around Lower Manhattan, and we basically agreed to hire somebody to replace us as leaders of the business. We needed somebody to come in and do a better job than we could because we were not able to do it. And that was so personal, for us. It was like our whole identity. I know it was for Raj and for me, and yet we wanted this thing to succeed, and that's where we agreed. And so, we ended up bringing in a CO. It was a very hard process, but it was the best decision we ever made. In the end, we learned so much. The company, I would say, flourished to a degree, like met way more of its potential. And most of what I've learned in how to run a business came from that process. So it was super hard. I didn't think we were going to make it. We almost sold the business for literally $0. I'm not joking. We went to Denver and we were going to raise this capital from this firm who shall not be named. And they were going to own like 65% of the business. We would get $0 out of it, and we would have to like re-earn our equity. And I remember coming back from there being like, screw this. We're not going to do that. We're going to make a different choice. We're going to figure it out and get somebody who can help us lead this business. And so that's what we did.
And did both of you stay? I mean, you stayed both of like.
Yeah, we both stayed. It was really interesting because we had to learn how to be managed and also be
Right,
accountable.
right, right.
And it was a night and day. I remember this gentleman who came in, Raul Martinek, great guy. I've learned so much from him. And just is such a dear friend of mine now. And he came in, and like within a couple weeks, he was running a management meeting with us. And he was just like, you idiots, right? He's like, you have a business like that is in the right time at the right place at the right time. Your customers are literally falling over you to give money and like buy. You have all of the like right technology, and yet you can't just figure out how to get along so that you can win. And we're like, oh yeah, I should probably just do that, right? It's like, shut up, shut up. It was great. But, we were young too, right? I think maturity, like, I was like learning how to grow up too, right? At the time, I was probably 28.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when that's your only thing and your company is your life and vice versa, I didn't have a good outlet for a therapist. I didn't have anybody to talk to. So that was me and Raj just putting all of our energies against each other. And oh man, it's so much better. We're great friends now. Well, we've continued to work together. I've invested in his business, and him and mine is my like number one confidant, because we can so understand each other. And that's been a special relationship, but I thought it would break us.